The major problem that I had then was the lack of love from the religion. To a great extent, I was surprised and emotionally drained by the way other people showed love or the love they claimed to possess. It was highly different from what Jesus taught us and the love he exemplified. I felt frustrated and hurt by this. I decided to move to a different country to start a new life because I was truly tired of how I had been living. After arriving in this new country, I came to the realization that whatever happened to me felt like a man struggling aimlessly and feeling empty all day. I was trying to follow God's path, but it felt like I was chasing after a shadow. Furthermore, I discovered that some of the teachings and messages I encountered were only focused on material gain, resembling nothing of true spirituality. This frustrated me even more, and I reached a point where I had to let go of my religion entirely. It was a tearful experience as I abandoned my pursuit of a God that seemed distant and unresponsive to the needs and suffering of people in this world. The most moment was when I contemplated why God never seemed to show up to help those in need or address the problems of the world. I questioned why he remained silent when people facing difficulties or crises. These thoughts led me to finally come to the understanding that God probably does not exist. I felt angry and concluded. After reaching such conclusions in my heart, I began to live an abnormal life. I started doing things I had never done before, which might surprise some people who knew me. I started going to parties, visiting certain places, and indulging in activities that other young people typically enjoy. I met a young man who shared similar interests. We began to engage in these activities together, and unexpectedly, I became pregnant with his child. I loved my son immensely, and I cared deeply for the man. However, things took a turn for the worse when my husband lost his job and financial struggles started to mount. We had to move in with a family member in an attempt to make ends meet, but life became an incessant struggle, and nothing seemed to work out. I hated living in poverty. It was incredibly difficult for us. Despite the challenges, I was afraid of losing my husband as I loved him dearly. His behavior changed, and he stopped caring for our son, focusing more on partying and his own life. The situation had a profound impact on my mental health. I fell into a deep state of depression, anxiety, and psychological distress. The weight of the circumstances was overwhelming. At some point, I even contemplated taking my own life. I couldn't bear to see my son in such a state, and I was exhausted from the hardships. The burden became unbearable. A neighbor, or should I say a friend, approached me after noticing my difficult condition. She told me about a place where they were seeking individuals to sell their eggs or wombs to women who couldn't conceive. They offered a considerable sum of money for it. I pondered over this for some time. Naturally, if you were in my shoes, you might have thought about it too. My family was struggling financially, and it was tough to take care of them, so I seriously considered this option and eventually decided to go through with it. I left everything behind, went to the clinic, and informed them of my intentions. The doctor explained the process to me, and it was entirely voluntary. They would compensate me with a modest amount of money. My primary concern was taking care of my child, so I didn't focus on much else. I accepted the offer, and at the clinic, I was given anesthesia. During the procedure, I fell asleep, but suddenly something unusual occurred. I became aware of my surroundings and heard things around me. It was a profound experience, unlike anything I'd ever felt. It was as though I was finding a part of myself that I'd never known before. In that moment, I felt a sense of peace that washed away all my worries and depression. I felt at peace with who I was. The weight of life's struggles seemed to lift off my shoulders, and I embraced a feeling of calmness that was unfamiliar yet comforting. All of a sudden, I found myself in a very deep and vivid place. It felt incredibly real, beyond anything I had ever imagined, like stepping into another reality entirely different from any experience I had known before. I felt propelled by a beautiful force, one that defied the norm of what I was accustomed to. And I was astonished by the incredible speed at which I was moving. It was as if time itself was rushing past me, and I couldn't comprehend how I was going so fast. The encounter was beyond the scope of what could be described in ordinary terms. It felt magical and extraordinary, leaving me in awe of the mysteries that lie beyond our comprehension. All of a sudden, I found myself in a deeply profound and vivid place. It felt as if a profound love was guiding me on this extraordinary journey. I was moving effortlessly and rapidly, reaching a point where I was welcomed by some mysterious beings. This interaction with them seemed to happen through telepathy. The unity among these beings was awe-inspiring. They expressed their thoughts and desires as if they were speaking as one collective voice. The level of understanding and interconnectedness between them was profound. I was amazed by the way they conveyed everything, leaving me in wonderment. It was as if they were expressing my name, my essence, and everything about me, connecting with me on a deep level. Witnessing this level of unity and the genuine expression of their desires left me astonished. Every being's expression seemed to reflect the desires of others, creating a harmonious and unique flow of communication. However, amid all this unity and familiarity, there was also an evident surprise in seeing me. I sensed that there was something extraordinary about my presence, something beyond my comprehension. The experience defied the limitations of the natural world, and it felt like a profound revelation of a hidden reality. I realized I was strong, powerful, and yet it felt like I was a child. I can't fully explain this feeling, but everything around me, the grass, the green flowers, they all seemed to come alive. It was a profound sense of peace and joy as I moved with incredible speed. During my journey, I discovered something fascinating. The peace and joy I was experiencing seemed familiar, like a feeling I had experienced at some point in my life, but I couldn't quite remember when. As I mentioned before, in this place, I felt both childlike and strong, without any gender identity. It was astonishing to witness how thoughts and emotions intertwined seamlessly. It was as if every feeling was interconnected. I felt this powerful force guiding me, and everything around me moved in a mesmerizing way. The knowledge and feelings I encountered there seemed like memories from the past, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. It was an incredible experience, and it felt like a profound reality of myself. I was amazed and frustrated that I couldn't remember this feeling before, wondering why I had forgotten such a significant part of myself. I encountered beings that seemed to know me, and I felt a deep connection with them. Words fail to describe the incredible feelings and emotions that surrounded us. The experience was so overwhelming that I couldn't even connect with my son or anyone else in this world. The presence of everything was all-encompassing, and it made remembering the people and feelings from this world nearly impossible. In that profound moment, I realized that the presence that enveloped everything was God. Though I didn't see him fully, I sensed his omnipresence. His love and essence were palpable everywhere. It was an experience beyond comprehension. Being in his presence makes you aware of his reality. In that other dimension, everything happened simultaneously. Feelings, sensations, and presence all merged into one supernatural reality. It was something beyond human understanding. Until one experiences it firsthand, it's impossible to comprehend the depth of these supernatural feelings. Such dimensions exist only in that place, where everything occurs all at once, defying the limitations of our earthly world. This presence that I'm talking about is everywhere, and you will truly feel his guidance and protection. He watches over us even more than our earthly mother and father, more than anything in this realm. His presence is palpable. You can't help but be amazed. It's the most incredible thing I have ever experienced, and it goes beyond human knowledge or explanation. It's difficult for me to put into words because the experience is beyond comprehension. I may not have seen the light like others do when they experience such encounters, as I didn't pass away in the same way, but I can assure you that what I witnessed was real. Now, here's the shocking part of my experience in that place. As I mentioned before, the presence there was mighty and amazing, and nothing can be hidden from it. There are no dark secrets or anything of that sort in that realm. Everything you have in mind, everything you've done is revealed suddenly. I underwent a life review where everything I had done on earth was shown to me, just like watching a movie. I could feel the grief I had caused others, see the pain I had inflicted upon them. Then all of a sudden, the scene stopped. And it was tough to bear because I could feel the intense pain and grief I had caused others. I was overwhelmed with regret and remorse. It was an indescribable feeling of sorrow. I hated everything I had done, how I had lived my life and the pain I had caused. However, everything that happened in that place led me to forget the event. Probably because dwelling on it wouldn't be beneficial for my present. It would only serve to cause more pain, so they removed that memory. After witnessing this revelation, I became aware of the pain and realized that I was never meant to be in that place. I understood that it wasn't yet my true home, and there were many things I needed to accomplish on earth. The way I had been living my life was not right. I felt completely broken down. In the experience, all of a sudden, I observed the clinic where I had been. I could see the doctors working on me, and it became clear that what they were doing wasn't helpful at all. It seemed like their actions were driven by materialistic motives, and they were acting as if they were controlled by some fog or cloud. They lacked free will and were simply following the dictates of this controlling force. I was surprised to discover that they were driven by selfishness and personal gain, which made me realize that this was not how things were supposed to be. It was not part of the plan and purpose for humanity. I promised myself that I would share this extraordinary experience with fellow human beings living in this world, Earth.
Cool.
I was told that it would be of great importance for those who are connected and that the message should be passed on to them. The message emphasized that everything is governed by harmony and a great power. And it was clear that the essence of everything is love. I knew that this knowledge of happiness, peace, and love that everyone seeks after becomes a reality once they enter that realm. But suddenly I opened my eyes, finding myself back in the hospital, feeling as if I had returned to a small and limited body. It was nothing compared to the vastness and power I had just experienced. I felt like I was now confined to an artificial body, powerless in comparison. I tried to share what I had encountered with the doctors and those around me, but they didn't give it a listening ear. They simply dismissed it, assuming it was just a normal occurrence, not understanding the depth and significance of what I had been through. I was shocked and frustrated that they couldn't comprehend the magnitude of my experience. When I returned home, I couldn't bring myself to speak about it. The weight of this experience caused deep depression, and it affected me greatly for a long time. It became such a burden that it almost cost me my life. Now I'm sharing it to the world. I thank you deeply for listening to this encounter, and I hope that sharing it will bring some understanding and comfort for others. May you be blessed.